strange. I wonder why the story feels stale. Adhering religiously to the outline might have caused a case of slideshow syndrome. Good, I was worried I might have a real problem for a second. Slideshow syndrome is what I call a story that has a rigid plot that consists of a series of events that are only loosely connected together, if at all, and that lacks smooth transitions between scenes. Here we are crossing the threshold. Here we are at the symbolic death and rebirth. Oh, here's where we found a great elixir. See? Like a slideshow. Also like a slideshow, they require little to no effort to make, and I'm all about that. Now, another potential problem with an outline is that a writer might have to take the effort to actually plan something. Sometimes there isn't time to lay out the plot in an organized fashion within the throes of creativity. Writers on this end of the scale simply discover the story as they write. Being a discovery writer can be thrilling as they explore the story without knowing what lies ahead, kind of like driving off a cliff. This can produce excellent characterization, even if the discovery writers have a bad habit where they keep writing and writing and writing. This is getting kind of bogged down and I can't seem to find the climax. Should I take a moment to regroup to get a better sense of direction? Where does the story end? I don't know. Ask the characters. They're the ones driving the plot and they refuse to stop and ask for directions no matter how lost the plot gets. See? It's not my fault my characters have taken on a life of their own. That'll be a great comeback to a 1-star review. The voices in my head told me to write that. Oh no, wait. The heroes are not allowed to drive the plot. Only the villains are allowed to do that. The protagonist should never take initiative. They should be stuck endlessly reacting for the entire story, even if they end up looking like chumps and the reader starts to share their frustration. Endlessly hitting the reader with new elements out of left field is a great way to advance the plot and will be as fun for the audience as stumbling through a dark room full of Lego blocks barefoot. Whether the writer is blazing away discovery style or carefully planning their story, both methods shouldn't worry about silly things like structure or their scenes not really having a point. I mean, why is this scene here? Does it add to the world building? Is there character development or characterization? Do the events portrayed in the scene advance the plot in any way at all? If this scene were cut from the story, would the story be any worse? A writer shouldn't worry about any of these. The scene need only to be cool in order to merit inclusion within the story. Can't murder that precious darling. But how does an author even construct a scene? Why, that's easy. Just have a bunch of characters stand around talking to one another and nothing else. No actions to punctuate the dialogue, no characters actually doing anything other than blab on, probably dispensing expository dialogue. No sense of progression, no central conflict to even drive the dialogue. Nope, just a bunch of characters standing around and talking about the plot rather than moving it along. At least until the writer suddenly springs an action scene upon them with the transition as smooth as sandpaper in a gravel pit. Then have the action scene followed up by another scene where all the characters stand around and talk about what just happened, even though the reader literally just read it a few moments ago. Because obviously we need a space-filling recap to explain everything. All of this meandering could lead to another story condition I call saggy middle syndrome. This is when the plot in the middle of the story stalls out. There are a lot of tools for kicking the plot back into gear, springing new information on the characters that change the context of their core conflict, add a new obstacle or complication, create a new interesting minor character, shorten the middle to bring the climax closer, dig into a major character's backstory. Or we could add a subplot that goes nowhere. Adding a subplot to the story that is a natural outgrowth from the main plot and merges seamlessly into the story's final climax can work, but by this point I'm getting sick of looking at the main plot. I think I'll become enamored with my subplot and have it take over the story, kind of like kudzu. Keep building up this subplot at the expense of the main one until our primary plot is but a shadowy memory. Then get bored and abandon the subplot and leave that thread just dangling with no satisfying conclusion. Fans of the main plot won't be angry, and neither will fans of the subplot because they will be too busy fighting each other to focus on the author. Oh, hey, with our subplot awkwardly discarded, it's time to start thinking about the finale. But before that, we need to reveal our stunning plot twist. Did I foreshadow this plot twist? Ha! No. That would ruin the surprise. Why would a writer want to build up their narrative with subtle clues and foreshadowing that reward the reader for paying attention to the story's fine details when we can instead smack the audience in the face with it from nowhere? The best plot twist is the plot twist introduced for the sake of having a plot twist.